No, I don't miss you. What would make you say that? Hi everyone, Jethany Lagtano here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new A$AP Rocky record, At Long Last ASAP. Let's go. A$AP Rocky is a New York rapper, head of the ASAP Mob, a rapper who came up in the game several years ago off of the back of some pretty fantastic singles that would be key tracks on his forthcoming mixtape, Live, Love, ASAP. And this mixtape put Rocky at the forefront of the burgeoning, psychedelic, and dreamy world of cloud rap. And even though Rocky's sounds were most definitely vast and very open, he also threw some pop rap and some southern hip hop influences in there as well, and a lot of drug talk as well to sort of enhance the very trippy vibe of the instrumentals. Still today, I think it's a great tape, even though in a way it does sound a little bit dated because there is so much lush, heavy, vast production out there right now. And this tape did essentially lift Rocky off into the mainstream. And even though his big commercial debut LP, Long Live ASAP, did have some pretty horrific cuts on it, like Fashion Killa, Rocky did prove that he could take his production style, his lyrical style, and translate it to a mainstream audience and create some radio smashes in the process, like Goldie and fucking Problems. It's no secret at this point that Rocky is not the most lyrical rapper, he's not the most technical rapper, he probably will never be, but he has continually shown that he has this knack for writing these immediate pop rap tunes with a sort of creative, artsy flair. And all I could have really hoped for going into this LP is that he just continues to do that consistently. Although maybe the title did kind of tip me off to something maybe a little bit more ambitious. The title, At Long Last, ASAP sort of says to me that maybe this is the A$AP Rocky that A$AP Rocky thinks we've been waiting for, or maybe the A$AP Rocky he's been trying to give us the whole time. And I do get the feeling that Rocky was going for something larger on this album, but instead of getting a kind of catchy, immediate, just enjoyable, to the point rap record, instead, I think we're getting a long-winded mess with some hits and a lot of incredible misses. The project starts off well enough, though, with the track Holy Ghost, which has these huge, fantastic chorus vocals, very gospel-themed, Holy Ghost. A lot of religious themes in the lyrics, and Rocky comes off pretty impassioned in his delivery. The gargantuan size of it reminds me a lot of the first track off of Live Love, ASAP. It's just a really fantastic start to the record, really sets the tone. And the very cloudy and lethargic Canal Street isn't too bad either, one of the best hooks on the entire record, and Bones' appearance on this track is not only surprising, but pretty good. And Rocky's flow is catchy, he's charismatic, he's got a lot of braggadocio on this track, which again is fine. But the quality of this project drops off immediately as soon as we hit the song Fine Wine. Rocky's down-pitched vocals not only sound stiff, but completely boring against the incredibly hollow instrumental on this track. And then as we go deeper into the song, we have two awful features from MIA and from Future, two of the most half-baked features I've heard on a rap record in a while, especially from MIA. Did she even write this thing? Tell your new bitch to go suck a dick. Tell your new bitch to go suck a dick. Tell your new bitch to go suck a dick. I would actually say with only a few exceptions, being Schoolboy Q, UGK, Juicy J, this record's feature list, while it is impressive, doesn't really deliver that much quality. Even people like Yasin Bey or Mos Def don't really come that hard. And where's A$AP Ferg? Where is Ferg? Kanye West's verse on the album isn't too bad either. The best advice is no advice, especially when it's your advice. He has some funny and interesting turns of phrase, even though I'm not crazy about the singing. I think the big issue with the features on this record is that they're mistreated, and I don't know if Rocky really guided the process of bringing these people on the record or anything like that. Some of the features on this record just pop in without any rhyme or reason whatsoever, like MIA's and like Kanye's right at the tail end of the track where he appears. It's like, no real presentation to having these people on these songs. Going deeper into the track listing here, we have the song LSD, which is a horrible single. It's a terrible song. Not only is the singing on this track awful, but the message and just the theme of the song is so freaking patronizing. It's like Rocky is trying as hard as possible just to say to you, hey man, doesn't this sound like drugs? Isn't this a druggy song? And a song about LSD isn't necessarily a bad thing. It's just that that's all I get out of this track because the instrumental is incredibly forgettable. I mean, if the lyrics or everything was kind of gone, it would just be a lackluster beat. And then on top of it, we have a lack of interesting lyrics, and Rocky's singing is so boring. And if there's one more theme that runs throughout this record, like on LSD, it's lackluster writing. I like instrumentals on this record, like Excuse Me, and on Lord Pretty Flocko Jody, but the lyrically half-baked choruses on this record are completely forgettable. We even have the song JD, which feels like a total non-track and is shorter than the album's lone interlude toward the back end of the record. Why we needed an interlude there, I don't know. As far as Rocky's verses on this record, he doesn't really have too much to say that he hasn't said already. There are lyrical moments that do stand out though, like on the song Back Home, as well as on the intro track Holy Ghost. I also loved the reference to the pot calling the kettle black on the song Canal Street. That was one of the lyrically smarter moments on the LP. But then we also have other spots where, I don't know, Rocky is just kind of bragging about people who are famous that he's had sex with, whether it be Iggy Azalea or Rita Ora. I mean, I'm not 12, so I don't really care who Rocky is having sex with. There's also that one line on this LP where Rocky says that he visits Nice like it's his sister's daughter, talking about Nice, France. Ugh. We then get the tracks Max B, Far Side, and Wavy Bone, which maybe make up the album's longest stretch of quality tracks. The beats are trippy yet hard-hitting. Rocky feels way more hungry, determined, awake, not just kind of lethargic or so high out of his mind that he can't keep it together. Because there are tracks on this record where he just feels kind of disconnected and unenthusiastic, like on Dreams. And on the track Max B, this is where you will hear one of the many features of singer-songwriter Joe Fox on this record. And while musically Joe's appearances aren't bad, I don't know why most of them kind of had this distant, lo-fi, badly recorded quality to them. I think that what Joe is doing is nice, but when his appearances pop into the record, they just kind of feel like lo-fi, just weird little detours as opposed to an explosive, memorable, fantastic chorus that keeps the momentum of the song going. Again on this record, another instance of Rocky just not making great use of his collaborators. Even on the song Every Day, which is easily the best single in the bunch here, maybe it didn't have to be. I mean, we did have Multiply a while back with Juicy J. If that song had just a stronger hook and spent more time rapping than it did kind of introing or talking, it could have been a fantastic single. Much better than Lord Pretty Flocko. But having the Rod Stewart sample on this track, as well as Miguel sing the same exact hook right after one another, just seems kind of unnecessary and redundant. And there are other tracks in the track listing here where we get more clumsily and badly sung hooks and choruses, like on Better Things and West Side Highway. We also have the song Electric Body, which has one of the better beats on here, and some decent verses too, but then the chorus pops in and it just turns into this generic, shake that ass, girl, make that pussy wet, shake that ass, girl. The song M's is okay, and the Lil Wayne appearance sounds kind of weird. There's something strange about Wayne's voice on this track that's kind of off-putting, but with this track, at this point, the album is really only just barely surpassing the incredibly mediocre standard it's been setting for itself up till this point. Rocky's previous albums had style, they had aesthetic, they had great instrumentals, they had great songs on them. This new record over here only has 1/3 of that, and it's the aesthetic part. It has an aesthetic, and that's it. You know, it sounds pleasant in the background, it sounds vast, it sounds heavy, it sounds bassy, it sounds trippy. For the most part, the rapping is on point in terms of just tempo and flows. But this record is not as deeply satisfying as Rocky's previous two. It's not. It's almost like he's completely lost his ability to write and deploy these skilled, immediate, catchy, memorable pop rap songs, again with that kind of artsy, creative, a little bit of a left field flair. This is a surprisingly uninteresting record for Rocky. I think that maybe if a lot of the fat were cut in the track listing here, it could have been a much better record, but even then, I think that the best songs on this album sort of stand in the shadow of Rocky's previous two projects. As of right now, I'm feeling light 5 on this thing. Transition.
It's a Dallas underground thing, and now it's debuting on porn sites and the internet. It's crazy because it's eccentric, but the sexual energy is so strong that it's a sex tape also. And my soul's been hurt, so that means a lot. Suicide stayed in my mind. Everything trail. Subscribe.